Radiant team, ban. Dire team, ban.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Dota Pit Season 5. We got Game 2 between FlipSid and Liquid on the way. Like Laura's going to be joined by Blaze for this second game as Liquid are down a game. They are at least banning out the IO. Dude, is there anything that Liquid could actually do to, really set themselves on the right path as far as the draft is concerned? Because a lot of that last game was, I think we would both consider the vast majority of those to be gameplay.
Yeah, I definitely think it's about shot calling, about deciding when they want to make their smoke movements, where they want to make their smoke movements. This kind of stuff can be figured out really well after the match in replay with a coach, whoever can kind of determine where they went wrong, why they made the mistakes they did. But it's really hard to do that game to game. So right now they're just going to go for the most obvious thing, which is just banning out FlipSid's opener. The Wisp is something that I was, like I said, really surprised that it slipped through because team can play it, but it appears that Liquid are not interested in first picking Wisp. Like they're fine with playing Wisp. They've shown that in the past, but they have no interest in first picking it, so they are going to be banning it instead, along with that Drow Ranger. And that leaves the Eridar, the Shadow Demon, to hit the field. And while he did receive some nerf with Shadow Poison, it's kind of annoying. Like, people think, like, oh, 55 mana cost from 40, that's not a big deal. But that is a huge chunk of Shadow Demon's early mana pool if you cast 4 or 5 poisons in the laning stage. So it's a minor nerf in the sense that he's not going to be able to zone as effectively. He's still going to be capable of everything he was before otherwise. But yeah, we'll see exactly how it all plays out with this first pick Shadow Demon, what they want to bring in to synergize with it, whether it's going to be like the Terror Blades and the Lunas of the world that give you great illusions to work with. This is something that Virtus Pro run a lot. Or if you want to just follow up with good initiation. FlipSid themselves like to draft the Slaughter with the Shadow Demon and just get some really good, reliable chain stunts.
And, well, Nyx into Shadow Demon, or Shadow Demon to Nyx, rather, a lot more attractive now that FlipSid decided to first pick the OD. The first bans of FlipSid are the exact same as the last time, just getting rid of these heroes that can kind of initiate onto you out of nowhere, and to some extent that was one of Liquid's issues in the last game. They were just not able to start a fight on their own terms without having some really elaborate wraparound plan, so they're just trying to protect the heroes like OD, like the heroes that need protecting from this kind of massive initiation. It makes picking up Oracle a little bit less necessary, I suppose, from the FlipSid draft point of view. I kind of like it. It puts a lot of really strong heroes into the pool, and then it kind of asks the question of Liquid. It's like, okay, all these strong heroes are still in. What are you actually going to grab? And well, it still seems like Nyx is looking like an all-star here. But for FlipSid, OD Warlock. We've seen a lot of Warlock recently, and man, I just don't hero in the support role. That's just me.
Well, I mean, it's only because you think of it as how good it could be if it was a core, right? Like, this hero is able to do so much if he's able to get like a Midas into like Axe Refresher and really progress in that capacity. But we've seen, especially from Wings Gaming, when Ice started picking it up and playing it like a greedy 4 position, then it still can accomplish quite a lot and can do some amazing things. The big thing in my mind is that they're looking for these big, long cooldown ultimates. They expected Luna to come out with Shadow Demon. It's definitely the most common pairing in this metagame. So when you look at the fact that Eclipse has this pretty long cooldown of 140 seconds where they can't fight without it, you can just double down on your own really long cooldowns. 160 seconds on Size Eclipse, 165 on Chaotic Offering. And this allows you to always have the bigger CDs to engage upon. They're never going to take advantage of that real 20-second timing window where Eclipse just came up. So I really do feel like this gives an edge to FlipSid. Along with that, OD, his ultimate obviously puts out some heavy AoE magical damage, and the Fatal Bonds is really good with those kind of big AoE, or even some good single target, as long as it's just really heavy damage output the OD provides. So we'll see exactly economically how viable this Warlock is, but it's a good deny pick because Liquid were running it recently. It's just good in general because it's going to be enabling them to fight with stronger cooldowns and put out a lot of damage. On the other hand, TMW OD is actually a classic. Like back 2013, I was casting OD and he had the Astral Imprisonment based intelligence steal. TMW is probably one of the best in the business when it came to that. Definitely top 2 or 3 in the European region. So kind of a throwback to one of TMW's best heroes, and going to be playing it up against Miracle in the mid.
And whenever I see a Warlock, I'm always like, okay, how broken is Upheaval going to be? And no one ever uses it. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is going to be the day. But quick look at the bans right now. FlipSid again, almost exactly the same bans, if not the exact same. It's very close. Taking out these kind of frontliner-esque heroes in the Sand King and the Faceless Void, heroes that can still initiate out of nowhere. Like all 4 of these FlipSid bans are heroes that usually start the fights. So,
Mhm.
I mean, they've showed up that they play a clockwork, a hero that's not really in the comfort zone of every single team, but FlipSid are okay with grabbing that if they want to start the fights. Liquid to go to kind of the heroes that need a little bit extra to start the fights, as in Slardar, as you mentioned earlier. Like, it's not easy to get a Blink Dagger and then start fights whenever you need to, because sometimes you just don't have enough farms. So I like how FlipSid are kind of taking that angle, and we'll see if they're able to fully reap benefits of it by getting heroes like OD, who are just going to make so much use of that extra time where they're not going to be jumped on. But Coddle and Life, and on the other end, is FlipSid are going to run back the Earth Spirit. Pretty darn good in the hands of Roger,
Yeah.
and is also a really good hero to have up against Luna and Shadow Demon. The damage that Earth Spirit does is actually going to be pretty relevant here.
Yeah, but you made a really good call with the Nyx Assassin. That is a hero that is really strong against OD, decent against Warlock with all the AoE spells flying out. You're definitely going to carapace him. So the way I see it is that you talked about these initiation bans, the Faceless Void, the Sand King. Nyx fits right up in there as a hero to start the fight. One good Impale can turn into a Ravage practically, and you definitely have to be wary when Mind Control is in a comfortable position in terms of initiation. So I am very surprised Nyx went through to phase 2, and it seems to be a pretty good answer to a lot of what FlipSid are bringing. So if this hero is able to get a pretty early level 6, it's at the very least going to be taxing the enemy supports, and that's something that they can't really afford, because, well, yeah, if you just grab some dust and you translate it into kills on a bounty hunter, you're going to be doing pretty well for yourself. If you're just spamming sentries just to prevent Nyx from moving against you, but not actually getting kills against him, it actually just continues to detract from your economy, which, like I said, Warlock doesn't really have going for him. If Roger's roaming on the Earth Spirit and Warlock is playing this 5-position safe lane support, he's really not going to have that much income to work with, and just putting it all in the Sentry Wards is not making the most of this hero.
And then even like in the kind of later stages of the game, when Nyx Assassin actually has a little bit of extra power in those initiations, taking a support hero offline is always going to be nice. But when that support hero is Warlock, when you can get rid of that threat of Fatal Bonds and Chaotic Offering as well, just by yourself, or with minimal help, then that's a really, really heavy reward for not that much risk. Nyx Assassin pick. In fact, I don't even remember the last time I've seen Nyx Assassin just get completely dumpstered in lane and then is absolutely useless. Seems like every single game we see him, he's just getting pretty much the gold he needs to be as effective as an assassin can be. There's better games, there's worse games, but he's always going to end up doing his job. So that is a concern for FlipSid, and now another concern arises where the Luna has the extra sustain if we do get to that siege point in the game, but perhaps more deadly is the fact that Dazzle Shadow Demon is a combo that does a lot of damage.
Oh, most definitely. There is a lot of potential damage output coming out from Liquid in the early stage. They're going to be able to be very aggressive and active on these lanes, and we definitely are going to be looking at a different feeling from Liquid. And I almost wonder if it's the shift of captains. Like, sometimes you shift captains just to like have mind games, and it's not actually like a real change of overall game plan or even decision making in terms of the draft. But we did see from game 1, Kuro was drafting, and now Miracle has the button under his hand, so he makes the final call for pretty much any of this. And like I said, it could mean absolutely nothing, but right now Liquid just seemed a little bit more cohesive as a unit with these kinds of heroes. Like, they're able to coordinate with the Shadow Demon Dazzle. They're able to use the Nyx Assassin to set up these really cool gank plays, and feel like they're going to be able to push in between those cooldowns, even without Eclipse, pretty effectively, because they have the heroes to make it work, either with the illusions from Disruption, or just from the Shadow Wave to spam out the wave. So I actually think that Team Liquid are going to be able to at least get an early advantage in this game, but we'll see how FlipSid fight in that mid game, where they were able to really find Liquid's weak point in game number 1.
I mean, for Liquid, at least in this draft, it's just so easy to play this draft. Like, Shadow Demon and Dazzle, that combo kind of plays itself. Luna doesn't really need all that much help, given these heroes on the opposing side for FlipSid. There's probably no aggressive tri-lane shenanigans on the way or anything like that from FlipSid. And then the only concern is, like, how well do you protect your mid laner, Shadow Fiend, up against this Earth Spirit? Shadow Demon or Dazzle can almost ensure every single time that Shadow Demon is at least going to have a fighting chance once the roll-in occurs from the Earth Spirit. So Liquid gets another, kind of older school Sieger, but still a definite powerhouse with the Luna Aura plus the minus armor. It does add up to quite a bit. So Liquid have a...
Seconds.
I'm going to call it a pretty standard draft. Like, they just have so many angles to approach this game. Gank-wise, if they want to take it early, they have the siege power of Luna and a Shadow Demon with the Raise power. If they want to take it late, they're not the worst either because, well, Luna late game with Shadow Demon, we all know how that is. Shadow Demon, also a ridiculous damage dealer, and the initiation from the Nyx. So Liquid are pretty darn well-balanced. Perhaps only downfall is lack of stuns, and that's where the Slark is kind of have a field day flip side, but they could definitely get around that just by sheer damage output.
Yeah, that's one of the natural weaknesses of the Dazzle Shadow Demon duo, is that they're able to do so much in terms of early roaming, in terms of early damage, and of course pushing, but they are going to be lacking in terms of control. That's where My Control pretty much has to focus on. His role exclusively is just to pin down certain targets, because Slark is able to almost completely ignore Spike Carapace thanks to Dark Pact, as well. Like, as long as he's able to avoid one single impale, they've got nothing against him. So Slark should have a pretty good game, unless Miracle just blows him up with a single ultimate. But talking about that, the Shadow Fiend was picked up into a Clockwork, into an Earth Spirit. These two heroes are considered, if not at least soft counters, they're just straight up hard counters to the hero, because you're never going to get a Requiem off against a Clockwork that's right on top of you. The same goes most likely for an Earth Spirit who's got some experience, and Roger showed his experience previously. So I have to say that the only reason I see to pick up the Shadow Fiend here, other than the fact that you have some good physical damage output synergy, is first of all, he has a long enough range and enough movement speed to avoid most of TMW's Astral Imprisonments and to focus on just last hitting in the lane. He's able to snowball with one or two roaming ganks from the Team Liquid supports, and yeah, he's probably just comfortable in really the CS war and the 1v1, because once you actually get out of that stage, the Earth Spirit, the Clockwork are always going to be gunning for the Shadow Fiend. You're going to rely very heavily on Kuro and Boba to keep you out of harm's way.
I mean, for the Shadow Demon and for this Luna, what I'm seeing here from Liquid, as far as making the Shadow Fiend more attractive than other heroes, is the fact that Dazzle Shadow Demon as a duo are very deadly if they don't need that many heroes to deal with a Clockwork up towards top, and it seems like they probably won't. Then you have just one of these kind of purely defensive heroes wandering about, and what that hero does is just stack up the jungle super high. Let Miracle get that farm, or let Matumba Man get that farm, and you don't really need that extra hero. So I feel like Liquid will probably just be really well off if they try to abuse the jungle as much as they can with this Shadow Fiend pick. That's what Shadow Fiend does best, I want to say, compared to like any other mid laner, is that he's able to just blow through the jungle regardless of how many stacks there are. And Liquid probably will have spare heroes running around because they don't need to help Mind Control all that much.
Definitely. I actually think the stacking is a really good point, and while we don't see it as much since the neutral camps now have that stacking magic resistance or other factors that make it harder for them to be killed off here, I still think that's going to be a major source of income for Miracle, and something that FlipSid don't have the heroes to contest very well. So if Kuro, with his windlace movement, is able to just kind of grab even a handful of stacks, that's going to be very beneficial for the team as a whole.
Oh, it's going to be pretty much the exact same play. Kuro trying to provide pressure, and then suddenly Roger comes in. Unfortunately, the combo with the imprisonment not quite going to land the slow, so Kuro will walk out of there, but Liquid will be going full 2v2 mode on this mid lane right now. Shadow Fiend does like the experience, but he'd rather get the early souls, and as promised, they don't really need all that many heroes in order to keep Clockwork at arm's length up towards top lane. Doesn't really have a ton of armor, so the right-click damage from Luna and Shadow Demon is intense, plus they get the Shadow Poison spam, which is not going to stack up.
Yeah, I want to talk, since we do have a pause, I want to talk a little bit about how much this really hurts Shadow Demon early. This Shadow Poison, 55 mana cost, as well as reduced damage on stack. It does 20 damage at level 1 for the initial damage instead of 50, so you're not able to break the infused raindrops. You're not able to do nearly as much damage initially, and this is your key trading tool. Now, adding in the fact that you had like a 40% cost increase to this spell, it makes it so that it's so much harder to actually continue to stack this up, spam it out, and can get really high stacks up. Shotflow can go for a magic stick or boots here. Either way, he's going to be able to really survive through it all. He just has to cancel one or two clarities, and now Shadow Demon's only threat is the disruption whenever the cogs come through. And they're just going to try to go inside the cogs, get the first blood. They don't get the triangle block, and Shotflow just blocks them both out with it. So at this point, like, we're going to see instead jump the other way, and while they don't have the battery assault to get a kill on Matumba Man, they're going to put in a ton of damage the entire time.
Well, there is an Orb of Venom here, but Man, one of the faster heroes, is going to turn around for a beam. Right click on a shot, though, will get Bulba the kill. Or the creep the kill, rather. Roger just slow to catch up to that Luna. Tries to tag her with the Boulder Smash, but is still going to get the Shadow Demon as a consolation prize while keeping himself alive. So ultimately, first blood going to be, well, going either way. Creep's getting in there a little bit, but 1-for-1 total. Work is not supposed to really be doing this versus the lane from Liquid. They're supposed to be able to keep him out of reach, but okay, Earth Spirit's dead. But I feel like with the Shadow Demon, you kind of have to wait until level 3 at least before you dump your entire mana pool. Like, you kind of do want to burn through your clarities, you want to apply that pressure, but at a certain point, you're just not doing enough damage. Like, they brought him down to like half HP, took out like 2 tangos. That's not really anything to write home about for a Shadow Demon.
Yeah, the big thing is you just can't miss a Shadow Poison. Like, if you can reliably get the Force Stack out, you can still do it at level 1 pretty happily. We'll see a little jump on Mind Control here. It looks like he will be going down. Like, he's got 2 stuns to help him out, but in the end, he's just too far from home, and Kuro does not have the Grave available. So it is going to be Mind Control. Just right-click down gradually, and one more hit will give Vanscore that nice little bounty. But yeah, Shadow Demon's just in this position where, like, if he's trying to fight it out against this Clockwork directly, then and he doesn't have the Dazzle to help him out, he's got to have a full mana bar to start things off, or it gets a little dicey. That being said, still they ended up getting the Luna out of that situation, and obviously the Clockwork overextended a little bit. I think they underestimated the Magic Wand heal or something. They could have just put a ton of harassment in and continued to apply pressure, but the Air Spirit and along with Shot Flow, they really just wanted that kill as badly as possible, and they still got the Bulba kill in the end.
Well, something else that Liquid got is a solo kill for Miracle onto Tameon Wild. Now he's going to get jumped, TP coming in. It's Dazzle. Does he have the Grave at this point? No, still not yet, but there is a Shadow Wave, which is going to help Miracle at least start trading hits with Roger, and the Earth very quickly going to realize he can't trade hits with SF that many souls. So, yeah, Miracle still has that Miracle factor about him, able to solo kill the OD on the other end. No help whatsoever. Vangscore is going to arrive with a Haste Rune. Yeah, Brave Warlock, I guess, but you can't do anything versus the Shadow Fiend here, so he'll just walk it off. But, yeah, Shadow Fiend definitely getting a good spot, and Shasho surrounded. 3 points around in the trees on the top lane. Another kill for the SD, and this is a little bit more what I was expecting from this top lane. You know, the Shadow Demon and Luna to apply the pressure, and Roger, he's doing a lot. Like, he's disrupting a lot of the lanes, getting kills for the team, but he can't be everywhere.
Yeah, and that's always the issue with roaming in general, is that, like, TPs are so low cost that if you don't make a really heavy impact on a lane while you're there, you're going to realize that the map just shifts against you, and it makes it so that the points of vulnerability keep on shifting and changing, and you have to make emphasis on like the mid lane or the side lanes, and you have to change that very actively, and you have to, like you said, you can't be everywhere at once. So he wants to find another kill on Miracle here. Still has the smoke and has some intel that Miracle was going for some CS, but now the smoke is broken. It looks like he's just kind of play things a little bit slower. And Miracle, he's got his infused raindrops, he's going to have his wand, and he's going to be able to survive through almost anything. The Clockwork getting level 6 is going to be where he starts having to be really afraid again.
And then it has to be Bulba kind of over the Dazzle if he's going to have a chance of surviving that. Just disrupt and hope that's for the best. Strachlo's still not there just yet. Level 5 right now. He's going to catch him Man in the cage, but Luna's on a line. You don't want to catch her in a cage, and she's going to turn around and start right-clicking Strachlo, but maybe overcommitted. Stunned up as Roger is going to roll in, but Man still taking enough to get out of there. Help is not coming at all. With Man this time getting dove on pretty much the exact same as game 1, except this time she walks away with her life, and actually with a decent amount of health as well. So that rotation not yet bearing fruit. Flip side, they're still kind of looking for her, but Man has backup coming. Onto the Earth Spirit and some regen from the Shadow Demon. Yeah, this is over.
Yeah, Shotslow just played his position a little bit more passively there, couldn't get more battery salt on the Lunar. That probably would have been a kill. I actually got very lucky in the timing as Bulba was denying himself from the easy neutral camp, trying to suicide to get back with full mana, as this mana is so precious for the Shadow Demon in laning. And it took him a while because he started from 30 some odd % HP to deny himself from neutrals, and the whole time they were right on the Luna. So she had no backup, but still Matoma Man able to survive through it, and now is probably in a good position to start pushing out the top tier 1.
Well, Luna's finally gonna get her salve. It was Kuroki's, so you can't drink that. Not without his express permission, but he's gonna come up here and give that to him. Shashlo, Blair is gonna scout out any sort of threat up towards top lane, and in the meantime we got threats going towards mid. Sentry is on the deck here for Tame My Wild. He has Roger behind him, so he's probably feeling pretty good, but he may not expect Mind Control to be here. Mind Control is going to land the stun, but on the wrong target. Earth Spirit is going to absorb that and should be able to back off just fine. First Nyx rotation, not going to do all that much. And this is going to buy even more space for the Slark, who has been completely free farming, top of the last hit net worth chart, so or the last hit chart at least. So Pseudoi, even less pressure going towards him. Mind Control is just going to return right back to the lane. But at a certain point, again, there's not much that a solo Nyx can do to stop or even slow down the Slark.
They just got Miracle.
Like Miracle needs some help, although he's going to get some help with the double raise. Kills off the Earth Spirit in a flash. Kuroki didn't even need to drop the Grave there. Not enough damage coming out from this OD Earth Spirit combo.
Yeah, early on, this OD just doesn't do nearly as much, and in this position, the infused raindrops have really been paying off. Like, being able to negate almost that entire Astral Imprisonment nuke. Like, everybody expects the hero to come up with, like, a huge chunk of HP missing, but twice in a row now, once favoring FlipSid and now favoring Liquid, this infused raindrops has really been paying dividends against the OD early, and from there, yeah, they're able to have the ability to turn it around. Miracle very confident in his ability to hit those raises under pressure and is able to get himself a 2-0 kill line here at the 8-minute mark. Comparing the offlaners, we did see the Nyx Assassin go for the Iron Talon. They're just having a little bit too much trouble bottom lane against the Warlock. Very good at just putting raw damage in through the Fatal Bonds or Shadow Word, and that means that the Nyx has to play it pretty passively. So he went for the Iron Talon, failed his first Vendetta gank, and I expect that he's really going to be pretty hungry for some kills, because the more experience you get, the faster you get that max mana burn, which is so important against the OD.
I'm not sure if he's able to get out of this one. Shadow Word rather, level 3. Mind Control still ticking, and dead. Warlock DPS is real. Venomancer, eat your heart out. So Nyx Assassin is going to go down. Experience while you're dead, you don't really get all that much, you know? So not exactly great times here for the Nyx Assassin, but at the same time, it's Nyx Assassin. He is level 7, 9 minutes in. That is perfectly reasonable. And how shut down we've seen some other offlane heroes be. So he definitely still has the capacity to recover, and even just one level of mana burn up against the OD, it's not what you want, but will do a lot of damage, and yeah, it just needs a little bit of time for him. Liquid seem to be okay with playing this game rather patiently, still looking for stacks in the jungle. Miracle and the Tumberman's still working towards Helmet Dominator to get stacks up for himself in the Ancients, so Liquid really are in no rush.
Yeah. Going to most likely see action up top here as the Clockwork and the Earth Spirit are going to be fighting out here, but Mind Control sees him first. The Sentry Ward will now see Mind Control. He's going to be able to catch him in the cogs. Can they get this kill in time as Bulba comes in for the disruption?
There's the rock drop though onto Mind Control. Bubble is there to save him from it, but now he's going to be surrounded by enemy heroes. And that's a really dead bug yet again. The presence of Warlock with that level 6 is going to be good enough to get the one kill with the hook shot. They might get another Bulba caught in the cage. There is one random Kobold soldier there as well. I'm sure he's helping, but they land a stun onto Shouty. Backup is coming though. Eclipse going to drop. It's going to kill a whole bunch of Kobolds, I guess. They do kill the Clockwork with the Lucent Beam, and they save Bulba. That Eclipse wasn't really the greatest, but still, FlipSid, unable to actually get enough damage onto someone as kind of weak as Shadow Demon still, is going to be costing them a Clockwork.
Yep, so, I mean, at the very least, not going to be a dead even exchange. The big cooldown committed, of course, is that Reign of Chaos versus, or Chaotic Offering, whatever you call it, versus the Eclipse, but both of those being, again, relatively similar cooldowns. I think the biggest winner is just that Miracle continues to build himself up in terms of farm. The Slark, he kind of rotated around, tried to react to that, and doesn't get kind of his spree farm the way that Miracle does, and Shadow Fiend is a hero that really can just explode in terms of farm. When he hits around this level 7, level 8 mark, he's able to just max out his souls, continue to spam out with Shadow Rays, and build himself up in a big way. So he is going to have an early Ogre Club, presumably like a BKB. We have seen some Shadow Fiends pick up Aghanim's, or even the Dragonlance wouldn't be too bad here. But yeah, I think probably the Dragonlance, and then you could look at BKB as like a 3rd or 4th pickup.
And the way to stop this, well, there is really no way to stop a Shadow Fiend farmer. You have ways of slowing him down. You gotta keep him off of his souls, and that of course involves killing him. FlipSid just have had most of their fights happen up towards top lane. Not really that much pressure applied to Miracle as far as trying to kill him off, because Kuroki's been pretty much camping behind Miracle the entire time. So Shadow Fiend is pretty much guaranteed his souls all the time. which of course means he's going to tear through creep waves and whatnots even faster. So Shadow Fiend really is under no pressure, and Matoma Man is not doing too much worse. Like, the Luna hasn't had to worry about her life all that often either, despite the fights happening on top lane. So it definitely does seem like they will need to at least address this Shadow Fiend Luna situation. As far as they're playing late game, they're not too bad either. But I don't know, Liquid just have so many defensive tools in their supports that just by getting Miracle and farm, like, these heroes are just gonna never die. Although they're gonna try to go for Matoma Man towards top lane. Caught her in the cogs this time. Bulbul's arrival is a little bit too late. He
and
sure
Team
not
W's
stick around. Sentry's gonna see the worst thing to see. An OD invisible, and now he's caught in a bubble. Silenced immediately. He does still have that disruption for himself, has a random Hellbear to help him out as well, so it looks like Bulbul might actually get out of this alive. Flip side, are bringing in an additional hero. Chaotic Offering, so rip trees. Where are you gonna hide now? Bulba in a lot of trouble. He's gonna bubble the Clockwork, try to run to the south, and so maybe get a cheese kill on bank score, but it seems like the Shadow Word will just kill him off. And they got Kuroki in the trees as well. He's not getting out of this. They'll kill him off as well. And side suddenly cashing in huge in the kill department.
Yeah, almost getting the Clockwork in return with a couple of spells thrown out from Kuro, but not going to be enough here. They're able to just kind of close in, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. In mid lane, we're actually going to see the Shadow Fiend go down. He was not able to get his Requiem out, and they just kill him off and get the half the souls taken away from him. So in this position, it's a really important kill for Slark, because looking at his items, it's like not really all that much, because he had all these items that cost anywhere between 500 to 1,000 gold in his inventory. He was like 6 slotted without having any real threatening items. Like, he was top of net worth by a small margin against this SF, and of course he's been free farming down bottom. But when he had this only 102 kill line, he still didn't have anything scary in his inventory. Now he's going to have that Shadow Blade very soon, and that should be what he needs to really start turning the tide and really making his mark on the map.
Yeah, just needs a little bit of time. In that time, they'll probably lose the bottom lane tower. The kind of suicide play there for Miracle to take the tower is going to cost him his life. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a suicide play, but still, tower for the team, Dragonlance for himself, and it seems like Liquid maybe getting to a point where they're comfortable enough to at least start seeing these tier 1s. They are taking precautions. Observer Ward behind the tower. Shot those smoke is going to be revealed. Sees mind control. Trying to hook shot onto an assassin. Impale's going to slow him down first thing. Someone's caught his bubble. That's a Luna. That's not good if it is. They caught mind control with Shotto's initiation. Now the Eclipse is going to drop them. Some man is going to get all his beams out and then get bubbled afterwards. Miracle's in the middle of the fight. Will get bubbled by Tame My Wild now. Aside are the only team to take casualty with Matoma Man going to get hit with the Grave. Mind control still dropping low, but not dead just yet. Matoma Man still swinging. And he will finally go down, but the Requiem is out for Miracle. Raising the bank score will kill him off. Sacho is going to put up a wall to cover the river, and he'll be just fine. Bank score is down, and it will be a 3-for-3 exchange. Not sure who actually came out ahead there. Seems like that was fairly even, but Liquid, it's Miracle the big winner, I suppose.
So yeah, because if you evaluate Slark as well as Luna evenly, then it would be an even exchange if not for the net worth deficit. The fact that Liquid were behind at this stage of the game, the comeback mechanics kick in and they're able to profit a lot more. But going roll to roll, it's pretty comparable. The Nyx Assassin died while 2 supports did, so the Clockwork gets the last laugh there, but overall I think that the main hero to profit from it, is the Shadow Fiend. He already had this Dragonlance most recently finished. He can either go straight to Pike for this, that he doesn't have to worry about the Clockwork, or get something that allows him to better fight up against the Slark.
Well, for right now, 1,200 Gs. Roger is going to make the same exact play as earlier.
Yeah,
They seem to
same
observe
spot,
after
and they see
rushing
him
in. This time there's no IO to save him, though. And he's going to get jumped with the Vendetta, and he's going to get some help from Shotzo, in fact. Roger, as well as Warlock Golem, is still going to go down. But Shotzo and the Warlock Golem, well, they're in a pretty precarious spot. Golem down, so no damage outputs here from Bankscore in this fight. Cogs do go up, catching Miracle. Not exactly what Shotzo wants, because Miracle's doing a lot of damage, and he will just instantly go down. Plus the Impale from Mind Control is going to kill off the Warlock. Poison Touch. One, I would assume, is going to slow down Tame Wild just a little bit. They're going to go in deep. They want this OD. Mana Burn can do quite a bit of damage. There's the beam and the Impale follow-up. Cedo going to arrive, trying to go for Kuroki. There is a Grave here, though, so he can't get that kill. Now he's forced to Shadow Dance himself out of here. He has a Shadow Blade as well as a TP coming in from an Earth Spear. Mind Control wants both of them, though. Immediately going to get silenced, but the Razes are going to come in and hit Roger really hard. That's a dead Earth Spirit, and the Slark is going to end up getting stunned by the Impale. He's all alone now, and he's going to get slayed by the beam. Liquid wipe flip side. Okay, we have ourselves a real game.
Absolutely, that's just so tremendous for Liquid. I cannot understate how much of a game changer that last sequence of events was. They start off with just finding Roger doing his own typical Roger thing, Earth Spiriting through the trees. Like he said, he didn't have any backup in terms of the Wisp, so he should have just been the sacrifice. It should have been, oh man, I went too far, too deep, I got cut out. It's one death. Instead, we get to see why Shots Though might have a 37% win rate on Clockwork, because he just doesn't know when to quit. He goes in, he hooks somebody that's full HP, gets right on top of them, and then they get a 2-man Fatal Bond Chaotic Offering. Is not the value that you're looking for when you don't have all 5 heroes ready. 2 cores were halfway across the map when that all started, but he still dove under tier 2 tower to try to save his buddy. Earth Spirit was dead to rights, 100%, and Clockwork leads the charge for just sacrificing themselves one by one until all 5 of them are wiped out. And Liquid, I don't think they lost a single hero. Like, that's absolutely insane. Like, where this game was pretty even, and it just came down to, like, how different objectives were taken and how different cooldowns were used, and how effective the Eclipse was in the next couple fights. Now it's just a wash. Now Liquid suddenly have this tremendous advantage. They're going to have a BKB up on Miracle very soon. And on top of that, of course, Luna taking the Roshan, taking the Aegis, and not afraid of anything.
Shadowblade also revealed on the Slark in that in the tail end of that last engagement. So we see Liquid on the bottom lane already packing the sentries, keeping Matoma Man as safe as possible versus any shenanigans from said hero. It just seemed like that fight couldn't possibly have gone any worse there from FlipSid. They revealed a whole bunch of items. They got absolutely nothing. That is going to be costly, but oh Jesus. In the meantime, Vangscore, I did not realize he had this much in his inventory. Hand Midas, Point Booster, Staff of Wizardry. Core Warlock incoming, I suppose. With these type of items, you can definitely recover from a handful of bad fights. It's going to set you back, sure. But FlipSid, they just need to make sure not to go full Liquids, because Liquid did that last game, and well, it ended up costing them a hell of a lot. Play a little bit patiently, I suppose, get some cheese kills on Miracle, but I'm pretty sure Liquid off of this BKB and Aegis are going to look to at least take the last tier 1 and probably even look to tier 2s.
Yeah, this is very similar to what Wings play. Is essentially they play a 5-position Warlock that transitions into a core to an extent by picking up a rather early Hand of Midas on the Warlock. That comes at the cost, however, of Roger's side of progression, where Earth Spirit would be looking towards like a Veil or a Mechanism right now. Not only is he looking towards death in the dire jungle, losing the wards that he just placed, but he also has absolutely nothing in terms of item progression. He's been buying almost all the wards, Vance got a couple, but for the most part, this Earth Spirit has been suffering at the cost of this Warlock. And yeah, Warlock has his Midas, will have Aghanims in just 1,000 gold. That's great if they can make the most of it. But right now, Liquid are really kind of hitting a real timing peak right now. And even if the Axe is up in time, it might not be enough.
I mean, Axe on Warlock is always going to be great. That's just a fact. But it's kind of going up against some bad matchups, I want to say. Well, first of all, top lane Matoma Man's going to get jumped by Speedboy. This is going to keep the Luna alive for quite a long time. And he'll catch, actually, the OD. He was trying to teleport up the top to help out in this, but OD for Luna. Matoma Man's going to pop the Eclipse and fight to the bitter end. Maybe a waste of Eclipse, debatable, yeah. But I think it's a 1-for-1 trade.
I think it might be considered a bit of a miscommunication, or maybe just Luna wasn't looking at his ally's position well enough, because normally, when you have an Aegis in this kind of a position, you have a tier 2 about 2,000 units away, you expect your team to back you up for the second life, where the first life is absolutely a sacrifice to the Clockwork. You should be able to turn it back around for the second one. If you have like Manta and BKB, you pop those, you pop Eclipse, and you just go hard. That's what Luna does with Aegis. But they were so focused on what was happening on mid, and they did get a great pick off on Miracle, but they missed the opportunity up top where they could absolutely have turned that around with enough backup, and in the end they just waste up their Eclipse. So now actually FlipSid have a cooldown advantage with both Sanity's Eclipse as well as the Chaotic Offering available, and I don't think this is a time to farm Vanscore, but he's going to TP bottom, and they're not really going to be able to make the most of that timing window.
Need to at least complete up this item, but back to this Chaotic Offering, like Shadow Fiend's single target focus fire, so much damage. Luna's single target focus fire, so much damage. Like these golems, they are gonna hurt for their initial hit. I don't expect them to live for that long in these fights. It will, of course, depend on where the cogs land, who gets hit with the Astral Imprisonment, how much of a disturbance is the Earth Spirit in those fights, but Liquid do have definitely the damage necessary to kill off these golems. As Vangscore is going to give us a nice little clock timer there. Thank you, Vangscore.
Yeah. Vanscore sending subliminal messaging over to Miracle. Suddenly, they're going to break high ground with 6 heroes, and wipe it out. No, I don't know. But some Chinese memes that I'm not very good at, unfortunately. In the end, BKB is coming out from a lot of heroes here. You're going to be seeing it, obviously, on Miracle now, on Sadoi very shortly, and then Aghanim Scepters for pretty much everybody else. But for now, the big thing in my mind is that you're never really going to be focusing golems in the fight. Like, they're always going to be doing some good damage, and while later on Luna might hit a critical mass where she can just glaive them down really quickly, right now they're still going to be quite a nuisance, and they're going to be putting out quite a bit of damage. So it's not the ultimate game breaker compared to like Aghanim's Refresher, which just completely destroys almost anything, but at the same time it is going to be more difficult to fight up against because of just the raw damage when that ultimate is available.
I guess the question at that point is, how do FlipSid actually approach that fight? Like, Slark getting a Shadow Blade initiation or Clockwork getting a random hook shot, those are all going to be well and good, but do FlipSid have enough power to actually group up and with the intent of forcing objectives? It kind of has to be a smoke point,
yeah,
and so you don't really want to drop Chaotic Offering on single targets that you find with smoke, so I feel like FlipSid are probably almost forced to play defensively and use this Chaotic Offering to defend their tier 2s?
They definitely can. That's the thing, is Liquid have the momentum right now, so if you see them putting pressure like you see down bottom, then you can absolutely group up and look for an opportunity. You'll have to keep an eye out for this Nyx Assassin, who is kind of looking for a flank, looking to be in an aggressive position. And he's actually going to break the smoke immediately. Can they dust him in time?
Oh, he's hiding in a corner. They're all spotted. Hookshot in is going to catch the Luna. She has been separated from her backup. Miracle, though, still has the BKB, and he is ready to go. Slark's going a little bit too deep with no backup. He's going to take a large chunk of damage before he pops the BKB. Shadow Dance is going to help him get a little bit of juice back. Mind Control in the trees in the meantime. Spike Carapace can help him disengage. There's the upheaval. It does literally nothing. Feels bad, man. Flare going to go out. FlipSid have already used the only spell they really have to force a fight in that hook shot. They're going to catch someone in the bubble, but Liquid now are in a perfect position to actually respond to this one. Mind Control is going to calmly walk out as Seedoy wants back in. BKB charges are still available. There is a Sentry Ward on the deck. Seedoy got to know about this, and they will de-ward, but Miracle's on the front lines. Astral Imprisonment is there. Seedoy gonna start wrapping around. Misses the pounce. Pounce is just to get in. Eclipse is gonna go down, but it does actually no damage. Seedoy's BKB is gonna keep him strong. As the Warlock Golems do drop, immediately they're gonna be buzzed down by Liquid, and they lose the Slark. Can Liquid find anyone here? Miracle is gonna Hurricane Pike forward, looking for Frank score. Force Staff out from him is gonna keep him fine as well. Roger is gonna go in for reasons I don't know, and also the OD ends up getting stunned by the Spike Carapace on the Imprison. Here comes another upheaval, does actually nothing again, and Tame My Wild's gonna turn off for Eclipse onto Mind Control, not quite enough damage to Grave and the bubble. He's definitely not dying now as Miracle's pushing forward. Hurricane Pike in, immediately into another Astral Imprisonment from Tame My Wild. They've got to go. I don't know why they're hesitating about this. It's time to retreat.
Yeah. I mean, TMW saw a small opportunity there, but the problem is you're up against the Dazzle and a Shadow Demon. The defensive support's a little bit too strong, and, well, you talked about how vulnerable the Goldens could be with their reduced health pool, and, well, that's when you use it like that, and you literally, the only thing in the fight is the Golems, then yeah, they'll be wiped out real quick. And now we're seeing that, despite the Fatal Bond counter to the Illusions, that they're still sieging the high ground and pushing Miracle up.
Holy Hurricanes towards the north side. Where are the supports? There is Croaky kind of in the area, but Seedoy's going to try to drive him off. Miracle is pretty much dead right now, and he will be left behind 2 diamonds. Hellman, though, is buzzing down Roger in the meantime. Jumped on by the Slark. He needs a help. And there's the Grave. Buy him a couple of seconds to TP out.
The prison.
Really? No, Imprison is going to kill him off. Everyone else is going to TP, so they will lose 2 heroes for Liquid. Do they gain Raxes? They don't even gain the tier 3 tower. That is extremely costly for Liquid.
Yeah, the big thing there was just a play from Chachla. Being able to cog Miracle in from that position via the Force Staff, really critical. And Miracle, he wasn't able to turn to the east and just pop himself out of the Radiant base. He unfortunately just went further to the north and right under another tier 3 tower. So really no hope for him. Even Kuro abandoned him at that point. Like, he had Grave level 3 available, I think, and he turned tail and ran because he knew that buying time there wouldn't have changed the situation, but maybe allowing Luna to escape could have been better. So chose to focus on that side of the fight. Almost was able to escape from the Slark, but like we saw, the POD still catches up with him. So FlipSid going to be taking second tier 1 tower of the game, getting another nice chunk of change here, but FlipSid, no, I feel like neither team's offensive game has been really that convincing. Like, we haven't really seen enough success when FlipSid are on the offensive, or in this case when FlipSid were sieging the high ground down bottom.
It's always like one team kind of chasing and not really doing that much, and the other team turns around, kind of chases, but doesn't do that much. I mean, for Liquid, it's kind of the fact they don't really have that much in the way of control. It's mostly the Nyx Assassin, to some extent the Shadow Demon, to keep enemies locked in and ensure that the Luna and the Shadow Fiend are actually going to be attacking. FlipSid just... they have all the tools. They have so many stuns and ways of controlling Liquid, but they're battling through Grave and Shadow Demon and Spike Carapace and the Nyx Assassin that they just can't do all their damage when they actually need it to land. So I feel like it's one good fight for either side, and then an easy 5-0 wipe. But so far those aren't happening. The positioning is just not quite right, and it's going to be a little more difficult for FlipSid at least. Mind Control gets an Aghanim Scepter, and Warlock has to be a little more careful at where he places that Chaotic Offering. And Slark as well, like he went in ham by himself and didn't really accomplish much.
Yeah, and it's going to be more difficult now. I normally would say that a team that is leading on the Dire side wants Roche to be a shorter respawn, but in this case it's bought enough time for Mind Control to pick up an Aghanim Scepter, which is probably one of the best things you can have in these really highly contestable Roche situations. It's like, if you are burrowed up before the Roche begins, what can FlipSid do? They can definitely snatch Aegis with the Clockwork or the Earth Spirit, but as far as actually fighting into that pit, even if you get a pretty decent, like, 2-man Fatal Bond, 3-man Chaotic Offering, the Nyx Burrow is still going to be there, and it's still going to be very present in the fight, and putting a lot of mana burns in the OD, and a lot of stuff in the opposition.
Impale out of nowhere, Force Staff out, plus a kick to slow down 2 heroes. Roger's going to eat an entire Eclipse, though. Not sure if he deserves that, but Earth Spirit is super
any
dead.
Kill.
And
any kill will get you Roche, straight up.
Yeah.
Like, in this position, it's so tenuous, and either team are capable of taking the fight, but as you can see, TMW doesn't even turn back, and even Nyx Assassin gets to come top, because they realize how strong they are in the pit without the Earth Spirit in play.
Top tower is not going to take that much damage. I don't think they see OD teleporting out, but Alan is dropping mighty quick. Shadow Fiend just does the damage, and the illusions from the Luna. Gonna see Slash of C Bank score, still hook shot in from the Clockwork, trying to clip the Tumbleman, is gonna put him up there, but Luna with the Dragonlance can still fire in as they're back gonna get Force Staff down. The Thief there as well, they're rushing down the road. Clockwork grabs it though, snatches it, and now he's gonna eat a full Requiem. Not the greatest, but they will drop down Timber Wild as well, but Tumbleman dropping fairly low, but Miracle still almost at full HP. Tumbleman's gonna get Grave Dust, still surviving throughout all this. Cedo is now worked down with Tumbleman still is alive, 30 HP. Scared of the OD illusions, those are on his side. He's gonna live, and well, they get the Aegis, but Liquid get the experience and gold from killing off Roche, plus they get, 4 kills. Liquid are still feeling pretty okay about how that went.
Yeah, just insanely good for Liquid, actually, because, again, they were able to pick up the Earth Spirit, they knew TMW was up top, they even felt comfortable bringing Mind Control up there just to mess with them, and hopefully cancel a TP. Didn't happen in this case, but the only thing they really lose out of that is the Aegis. Like, yes, Clockwork was able to snatch the Aegis. If Luna had just focused on Roshan a little bit faster, they would have taken that too, but in the end they still wiped them out in the pit because they're just in a stronger position there with the Earth Spirit just respawning and the OD kind of lagging behind on the offensive. So a great Requiem coming out from Miracle. He was able to set that up so well.
That's Rax's in favor of Liquids, with a couple more seconds to take a tier 2 on the way out as well. Not to mention the gold that they got just from winning that fight, like going at Solar Crest Dazzle, Force Staff Blink Dagger on the freaking Shadow Demon, so he's pretty loaded. Liquid are going to keep going for this one. Mind Control, Aghanim Scepter, a pretty big reason why they're going for this. BKBs, of course, up on Miracle as well. There is no Chaotic Offering for another minute. There is Upheaval. Look at that. Look at all it's doing for the Nyx Assassin. He's taking literally no damage from anything right now.
Yep, pretty massive reduction. He even gets the Solar Crest to help him out. But TMW can actually steal a bunch of intelligence here, but he gets risks getting stunned, getting Force Staffed into a bad position, but if he wants to, he can just continue to wail on him with the Arcane Orb and steal up all of the intelligence of Mind Control, which would be just tremendous if he was able to pull that off. But at the end of the day, there's no way that Liquid break high ground with a full 5-man defensive against them. It's just too scary. So they go ahead and they just kind of play the map. They have now a huge advantage with this Rex broken down bottom, and they can continue to farm. The really nice thing, as we see this kind of flanking maneuver up top, with Tumbleman leading, it looks like they won't find anything, but you never know.
There's a gem here on Bulba. Kind of know which direction Cedo is going. Like, best case scenario, they get a BKB charge out of him. Actually, he doesn't have a TP, so Cedo is kind of going to be in an awkward spot for quite a long time. And when some man just gets his own BKB, they're pretty much ready to just push down the top lane. Zio is going to be in the back awkwardly for a little bit. So Liquid to get a free tower. Not that bad. They still can play it slow, but you know, if I was Liquid, I'd rather wait for the Courier to get out here with a Butterfly and a BKB for my Luna before I make any sort of high ground attempts.
So the really nice thing about Liquid's lineup is that you're able to build your cores so offensively. Like Miracle can go for this Butterfly at this stage with just the Pike and BKB, because when you've got the Solar Crest, the Weave, all the Dazzle spells behind you, as well as potentially Defensive Disruption or Force Staff, like Miracle can just build for this much more aggressive setup, and this Shadow Fiend could shine. This Shadow Fiend could just do so much damage low ground to high ground, and it's extremely difficult for the FlipSid to answer. We'll get a nice little Fatal Bonds here, but we'll only hit Luna and her illusions and just not do that much overall. They can reset, wait it out, but we're going to see Chakra go in.
And there he goes out.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not really sure if he deserved that Eclipse, but he is super dead. They didn't even have Seedoy like on their side of the map by the time Clockwork went in. He just sacrificed himself with having no buyback, and that's not exactly a great play. Wild at least knocked him down the tail. That would have been an absolute disaster, but still they're not looking all that great. There's no one to really start this fight outside of hoping Liquid clump up for a Chaotic Offering. At this point, level 3 with Aghanim's is going to do a hell of a lot of damage. Bonds onto everyone. Decent start. They have to start the fight immediately afterwards. Roger's gonna roll in, and here comes the Chaotic Offering. It's gonna drop Shouty Man down to super level. Miracle's gonna put up BKB, and he'll just wind up the Requiem, forcing Wild out of the fight with the bubble on himself. Cedo is chasing after the sports in the back line, will take out both of them. But some man being chased out to the north as Miracle is gonna slow down to clean up some of these golems. Have to worry about Cedo. Impale's coming in, though. It will be packed off. Warlock will buy out. Wild jumps forward, puts the Shadow Fiend in an imprisonment. Mind Control looking to stun up the OD in the meantime. They do catch Miracle with the cogs, and they will bring him down. No supporting cast in the area. Mind Control has a Blink Dagger. He should survive. Out on the chase has a Hurricane, and there's another potential kill here. It's pretty much just Wild. Mind Control's got the Spike Carapace. Another Upheaval will actually do a lot to slow down Mind Control, but there's actually no man on the OD, so they have to go chase there. But
he needed the Aura proc really badly there. So ends up kind of wasting Vanscore's buyback. The Warlock didn't really accomplish too much. He got a heal out, he got an Upheaval out, but didn't net them another kill. But in the end, he just really wanted to try to get an answer back after they'd already lost bottom and they were starting to lose top. You really almost can't let Liquid set up now. With the Shadow Demon illusions, with the Manta styles, like you just put 4 illusions to the high ground if you're Liquid, and just at least slow siege the range barracks, which only has 460 HP remaining. And now they've got, what, Pipe on Bulba? Are you serious? Like, this is a 4-staff Blink Dagger Pipe Shadow Demon. Like, I've had some games where, like, you get a couple of good last hits on heroes, you just get a couple kills, and suddenly you jump up 2k gold, but this is pretty insane. This guy is now extremely relevant in the fights, having a 10k net worth at 34 minutes on a Shadow Demon, and he must have ended a streak or something, because that is just so good for him. And at this point, now they can, absolutely just walk up, siege down, building after building with these illusions. And Fatal Bonds is a good answer to if you hit all the illusions and the main hero, but if you just some distance there, Liquid can kind of just play it safe, play it back, and be perfectly fine.
Boba has more farm than his friendly Nyx. He has more farm than the enemy Warlock, who has Hand of Midas and has had Hand of Midas for what seems like the entire game. So with this pipe, that's, I mean, great for the team. It's always going to be great for the team, but especially for his own survivability, that's a big deal. Like, we saw how fast Liquid folded after they lost their 2 supporters. Like, without their support, these almost purely aggressive builds from the Luna and Shadow Fiend, as you were talking about earlier, suddenly become kind of a drawback because you have blast cannons, there's no way of protecting them. So by getting this item, just any survivability item on Bulba, he is increasing the chance of him surviving throughout the fight, so that he can therefore help Miracle or Matobaman survive throughout the fight. So flip side, the fight just got so much more difficult, and it's coming out of support as well. Usually expect these type of impacts come out from like a fresh BKB or something like that, but no, it's from just random support hero that got way too much farm. So Liquid are going to get right back on the horse. The mid lane pushed down by Miracle. Solar Crest is their Upheaval. Down just a bit. Top lane, though, with the Luna Shadow Demon, they're going to be flooding with illusions as well, so FlipSid have to split the difference in their heroes, and I feel like this is going to hurt them a lot more than it's going to hurt Liquid.
Yeah, they have no choice but to go out and try to meet them. They realize they're just going to be sieged down if they don't do something outside the base, but the mind control Nyx Assassin is just going to be waiting for them, so it's really difficult.
Miracle, right-clicking, Hurricane Pike. There's no vision up on the high ground, unfortunately, but while the heroes are over towards mid, there are a lot of Lunas over towards top. It's bouncing through absolutely everything. In fact, these glaives are shredding through Flipside, and over towards mid, there's also a problem scenario. Another upheaval is here. We'll stun up 2 heroes in the background. BKB popped up by Cito. He's going to jump in for Miracle, but he's doing no damage at all. Warlock is going to drop his ult on Miracle. He pops the BKB, and this winds up the Requiem, driving everyone back. There's the Eclipse from Atonement Man, not doing a hell of a lot of damage, but just forcing them to back off. And that means that Mega Creeps are going to be flooding the base. Liquid take the Raxes without killing or losing anyone. Now they're going to jump in. Big Eclipse onto everyone, but the fight value is going to start to come in. There's the Hurricane Pike. Miracle and Tama Wild is going to go at it toe-to-toe. It's going to be Miracle to come out on top. But Toman's still in the middle of the fight with a full health bar. He's going to go into the Blade Mail. He doesn't care. Will kill off the Clockwork, will kill off Cedoid, and will kill off Flipside. That's 5 kills for Liquid. That is going to be game.
Yep, and that means we're going to be going to a 3rd game here, where Flipside were able to run over their opposition about 31 minutes. Liquid, they get a trap that can go the distance, can go as late as it needs to, and they're able to, with just a couple of really good fights, maybe a few mistaken initiations, it's Flipside who end up losing it here.